Hi, welcome to my video on graph a line using different methods. We've learned different equations, we learned different methods of graphing, so let's use some of those to graph a line. This line, I have an equation here that's in standard form. So if I take the standard form and I want to graph it by slope by intercept. So if I take the equation and I want to get the slope, then I will find the slope by solving for y. Y equals mx plus b. So solve for y. Notice the y stays, the x moves over to become a negative, and I divide by -3. Solving this equation for y, I get y equals mx plus b, where the slope is 2 and I got a y-intercept of -2. So by solving standard form for y, I'll get slope y-intercept. And just to remind us, y equals mx plus b. Now, I will plot the y-intercept. The y-intercept is -2, so that's 0, -2. That's a point on the y-axis, right there. B is -2, 0, -2 is right there. And the slope is 2, understood to be 2 over 1. So I'll rise 2, run to the right 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. And if I plot that line, if I can find a ruler here. Here we go, I got a ruler. And that's the line that has slope of 2 passing through the y-intercept -2. Now, what about if we take the same equation and we want to graph it by slope y-intercept? So again, to get the slope of this line, we would solve it for y, same as I did above. So we just do this, that's an x plus 6. We're doing exactly the same thing that we did above. So y equals 2x minus 2. So the slope is 2, but now this is a y-intercept. I don't want that. I want to graph it by slope x-intercept. So an x-intercept is the point x comma 0. So that means if I take my equation that I have in standard form and let y equal 0, so I'm going to let y equal 0 because an x-intercept is the point x comma 0. So let y equal 0 in the equation. Let's see what happens. So if I let y equal 0, -3 times 0 is 0. -6 plus 0, 6x plus 0 is 6x. And divide by. And let's see. The x-intercept is 1. So the x-intercept is 1. That means I have a 1 comma 0. But remember, I let y equal 0, so y is 0, x is 1. So that means I now have an x-intercept of 1, which is right here. And the slope is 2 over 1. So I rise 2, run 1. Or if I rise 2, go to the right 1, I can also go down 2 to the left 1. And notice, no matter what I do or what information I have on this line, I will always have the same line. So I can graph it with slope y-intercept, I can graph it with slope x-intercept, but all these equations will be exactly the same. And what about if you're asked to graph this standard form with an x-intercept and a y-intercept? Well, if you want an x-intercept, you write down the equation, and an x-intercept is that you let y equal 0. So if we let y equal 0, same as we did here, we let y equal 0, and we solve this. It's the same as what we just did. So the x-intercept is 1, so that's the point 1, 0. If we want a y-intercept, then we let x equals 0. Because the x-intercept is the point x comma 0. The y-intercept is the point 0 comma y. So if we let x equal 0 in the equation, x is equal to 0. We let x equal 0 and solve for y. 0 subtract 3x's, 0 subtract 3y is negative 3y. Divide by, that's a plus 6, plus 6 there, negative 3. They cancel, y equals negative 2. And that's the point, y is negative 2 when x is 0. So that's the x-intercept, and that's the y-intercept. So the x-intercept is 1, 0. X is 1, y is 0. The y-intercept is 0, negative 2, 0, negative 2. And if we draw a line through those 2 points, we will get the same line that we did in the first two. And again, it's just different ways of graphing. And it's whatever you're asked, whatever you want to do. So I graph with 2 intercepts this time. But to get the intercepts, if you want the x, you let y be 0. If you want the y, you let x be 0. Whatever intercept you want, you let the other coordinate be 0. And what about if we wanted to do a table of values on this equation? Well, if we wanted to do a table of values, what we would do, we have to take the equation and solve it for y. We normally solve the equation for y. So what we're doing exactly what we did up here. And we're move the x over, make a minus, and we're divide by negative 3. So y equals 2x minus 2. Now we want to use a table of values. Solving it for y gives you all the x and the constant on the right side. So that is easier to use the table of values now, plugging it into here. If you kept it like this and plugged it in, it means you'd have to solve it each time. But it's better to solve this for y and then plug the values of x in. So if you want, I normally take negative, or say 2, 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2. But if you only wanted to do 3 points, take the 1, 0, negative 1. So let's work out each point. Let's put a 2 in. Notice I'm putting 2 in the place of x. So I get a 2. Now I'm going to put a 1 in the place of x. So I'm putting 1 in the place of x, so I'm doing this one. So that gives me 2 minus 2 is 0. Now I'm going to put 0 in the place of x. So I'm working each one out. 0 times 2 times 0 is 0, so I get a negative 2. So 0 gives me a negative 2. Now I'm going to put negative 1 in the place of x. So negative 1 goes right there. There it is. So negative 2, multiply first, subtract after. I get a negative 4. And etc. And if you plug in, notice you're going 2, 0, you're going down by 2. So I bet that that one right there is negative 6. If you work it out, you get a negative 6. So 2 gives me a 2. So 2 gives me a 2. 1 gives me a 0. 1 gives me a 0. 0 gives me negative 2. 0 is negative 2. Negative 1 is negative 4. Negative 1 is negative 4. And again, it's the same line. But you're using a table of values. There's many ways to graph a line, depending what you're asked. So at this time I did it with a table of values, and I got the same points. There's the x-intercept of 1, there's the y-intercept of negative 2, same. They're all the same. So when I do a table of values, I solve my equation for y and plug in different values. And the values of x are, you take them in order. Then you can see how this stays in order because it's linear. And we did a previous video on graphing with a table of values too. So, and just a little reminder, if this slope right here was a fraction, you would use multiples of that denominator. My previous video, one of the previous videos, has the idea of graphing with a table of values. And that's just a review of graphing from different methods, y-intercept, x-intercept, slope, etc., table of values. And if you like my video, click the like button. If you're not a subscriber, click the subscribe button and the notification bell because there are more videos coming your way. Write a comment on my video if you're a subscriber, or if you're not, just write a comment. And visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplaincom. And there you get information on 3 sections. Me, my degrees and teaching experience. The video section talks about the strategies you're going to use to help you learn your math. The content section has the units on my YouTube channel. And it also has the number of videos on those topics. The black font is what's online right now. And the red font is what will be online in the near future. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.